Guys, it's Pro Football Today out here in Atlantic City at the Oceans Casino Resort, live on SportsGrid. I'm Kevin Walls. That is Donnie Rightside. All the way over there is Joe Lisi. Week 18, the finale of the NFL's regular season. We had 2 yesterday. The Texans are in. The potential for more. Pittsburgh kept their hopes alive.
Yeah, great games yesterday, right? Mason Rudolph and Pittsburgh grind out a win in the rain-soaked Baltimore Stadium. They grinded out Najee Harris over 100 yards, and C.J. Stroud in Houston battle-tested, jump out to the big lead, hold on for the 4-point win in the Indianapolis. D'Amico Ryans and that defense forced Gardner Minshew into long third downs, and both teams now potentially for the Steelers moving on to the playoffs. And today, guys, a battle of backup quarterbacks throughout the league, right? Blaine Gabbert gets the start, and your guy Carson Wentz, can he step up, Donnie, in San Fran today?
This is going to be a fun day here because, again, it's unlike any other week during the regular season. Some teams need something to play for. Other teams don't need anything to play for, and away you go here. I can't wait to break this down to see how some things shake out, and also maybe some weather implications we'll take a look at for New England today, but also just to get back to the game yesterday. I actually thought the Pittsburgh Steelers got a little bit of a bad rig yesterday, going to Baltimore, playing that heavy rain. Still a nice victory for the Pittsburgh Steelers here, and now a legitimate chance to make it to the playoffs. A couple weeks ago, we didn't know what to expect from Pittsburgh. 10 wins for Mike Tomlin.
3 straight to close out the season. Mason Rudolph did try his best to throw a pick on the opening drive, but that dropped interception was only one of 2 incompletions for Rudolph. It was a safe game plan for the Steelers, but it was an effective game plan for Pittsburgh. Our radio audience is with us here on SportsGrid. Appreciate all those stopping by across the SportsGrid network, including Sirius XM, Channel 159. This is Pro Football Today in the AM. A little programming note, we will be live tonight, 7 p.m. Same crew, different location, as we set you up for Bills Dolphins, as well as recap everything that is going to play out today. And for Pittsburgh and their win, that does have implications to Sunday Night Football. If the Jacksonville Jaguars win their game, the Bills will either be the 2 seed or eliminated. If the Jags lose, you are then going to see the Bills clinch, Pittsburgh clinch, and that means that last night's winner, the Houston Texans, will win the division. They were 10-1 to do so prior to the season. I kept telling myself I was going to hedge. Completely lied. Maybe live. Probably not. I'm rooting in the Titans here, but nevertheless, the Houston Texans, a 10-7 season. C.J. Stroud, for me, should end up the unanimous NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Absolutely, and think about what he did yesterday in regards to just starting fast, stretching that defense over the top. Nico Collins with a 100-plus yard performance, and he showed poise. He showed like he was the veteran throughout the regular season. Got a little bit rough start early on, but from the middle point of the season to where we saw last night, C.J. Stroud showed that he is deserving of Rookie of the Year candidacy, and should have been potentially taken as the number 1 overall pick over Bryce Young. Bryce Young struggling with Carolina's offense. C.J. Stroud reads defenses, makes every throw that you can want out of a starting quarterback, and has elevated those players around them, and that's the biggest thing in terms of their maybe potential AFC Championship run, Donnie.
Yeah, 2 bright futures there for both of those ball clubs. You saw a battle last night. I think they nailed both of their head coaching opportunities here, and also take a look into the future. We know C.J. Stroud's going to be great. Anthony Richardson certainly flashed as well. But if we're going to be honest about that game, what's not to love yesterday, Kevin? You take a look at that game, a shotgun blast right away, deep pass touchdown for your rookie on the road in a must-win situation. I love the confidence they had in C.J. Stroud. He repaid him by spades last night. Fantastic football game all the way through.
Look, Stroud's been incredible. I actually think there's better an argument for him to be MVP than not Rookie of the Year. Led the NFL in touchdown-interception ratio. I mean, what's the book on rookie quarterbacks where you can promise yourself there's going to be tons of turnovers? Not with this kid. 23 touchdowns to just 5 interceptions on the season. Became one of, I believe, only 6 quarterbacks in their rookie year to throw for over 4,000 yards. And by the way, did it in just 15 games. He would have pushed and probably broken the Andrew Luck record for most passing yards in a single season by a rookie quarterback, if not for those absences there. So give Stroud and give the Texans a ton of credit. D'Amico Ryans now is seeing his odds drop for Coach of the Year quite a bit off of that win, but Kevin Stefanski still favored the Cleveland Browns head coach to win.
What's the latest
that
price?
award.
Did you get a look at the prices this morning on that? Because I know he was like minus 900, minus 1,000. It had to move a little bit, but also just a quick point on that.
It moved a lot of it.
What do we got?
I tell you, it's moved a lot since I last looked. Minus 125 Stefanski, minus 115 Ryans.
Yeah.
So, no, quick debate on this.
I like it. Go ahead.
We're worried about what Stefanski shows on the field today with all backups, and he's going to lose that because of that?
No, but here's the argument when you look at Stefanski and you look at D'Amico Ryans, and I understand Stefanski did it with 4 quarterbacks, but P.J. Walker was a compliment in terms of a backup. He was a veteran, right? The only quarterback he potentially used was DTR. Joe Flacco did come off the street, but he won a Super Bowl. D'Amico Ryans is doing it with basically a complete rebuild, an all-rookie team. He's doing it with C.J. Stroud, who came off the street that had multiple question marks in regards to the pre-draft process where he couldn't process. He couldn't make all the throws. They bashed this kid, and now he's got a 10-win season, 4,000 yards. And that defense, too, has been stellar in regards to pass defense. And when the game was on the line, in my opinion, I think it's Ryans over Stefanski.
I think it's almost a little bit of the inverse of the Matt Nagy thing. The year they gave him Coach of the Year because their defense was the best in football, but the offense was atrocious. Look, D'Amico Ryans is the defensive coach.
Yes.
Like, the reality is Bobby Slowick is I don't know how many jobs there's going to be out there. But Bobby Slowick could potentially be hired, and then all of a sudden you go, uh-oh, they lost Slowick right away. That guy's obviously a superstar. Now, so is Ryans. By the way, C.J. Stroud is miles better, though, than what they've been working with, and that includes the top guy in Watson in Cleveland. But and I know this is not how this is going to work. If I had a vote, it goes to the guy who lost the game last night, in Steichen. Yeah, listen, I know, again, the both of you love Gardner Minshew. You saw it on display last night. His running game averaged 6 yards per carry, and he averaged 5.9 yards per pass against a defense that was allowing the second most yards per pass attempt in football. The reality is Shane Steichen got Gardner Minshew to a 9-8 season, which is absolutely remarkable.
No, it's a great job by both head coaches, but we always talk about expectation preseason. What was the preseason expectation for Indianapolis? 7.5, 8 wins with Anthony Richardson. What was the
Taylor stuff? It was dropping a lot.
What was Cleveland's 9.5? For D'Amico Ryans, they were picked as one of the worst teams preseason with a 4.5 win total. To overexceed that and get 10 wins and 5.5 more wins than what was expected of the book. That's deserving. And I'll say this. Last year, I thought Pete Carroll with a 5.5 win total deserved 30. It over Brian Dable. Done.
I think the Dable thing was absolutely atrocious. And I've also said this. Usually nobody thought the Texans would be good. I did.
Right.
So that's kind of always been.
Great call.
But that's been the thing that skewed me here. Is I don't sit here being like, I can't believe how good this team is. In fact, I'm furious that this division isn't wrapped up because how many bad losses they have when you go back and look at it. We go to Sunday Night Football, Bills, Dolphins next.
New sports books operating for licenses, and a lot of news always coming out of there. One of the fresh sports betting states.
Well, they're a little behind the ball there, so I don't know if they'll be at the starting line in North Carolina. But yeah, a really interesting mix of applicants this early on so far.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
Right now, we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division favorite.
I don't care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
My best bet is Michael Penix to over 309.5. Let's shop around. Let's get active and let's get the best of the number here. So
I believe if Michigan in this ball game can run the football, work off of play action, They can move the football, put up points. Does fall on McCarthy, but I like Michigan's chances in this ballgame.
National championship set. Washington against Michigan.
Brothers in arms today. This is it.
This is the most excited I think I've ever been for a day of work in my entire life.
That tells you how good this league is. Jeff, you're mine. Big 12. Who's the team to beat?
Well, it's always Kansas. I don't care who comes in the league. And I love Kelvin Sampson, what he's done at Houston. I don't care. So Marquette, to me, is the best backcourt in the country. Tyler Kolek's the best point guard. Cam Jones is an elite scorer who just plays with such a good pace, and he's so smart.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
We spent all offseason where the NFL said, hey, just so you guys know, running backs don't matter. If we then this year give the MVP to a running back, the irony. I am disappointed that they lost to FAU because secretly I don't really like this FAU team very much. I don't know. They're just not for me. And now they've completely legitimized the Owls.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Yay, congratulations, but the game was over at that point, so another one of those terrible beats. If you had 3.5, 4, even 4.5, this was a 10-point game until the final closing seconds.
In-game live, prime time. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Two, one, here in Kev.
Back with you right here on SportsGrid. It is Kevin Walsh, Donnie Rightside, and Joe Lisi on a Sunday morning. We will be live for you tonight at 7 p.m. for Sunday Night Football, where the Bills and the Dolphins play with a ton on the line. Definitively on the line is the number 2 seed and the AFC East division, of course. Potentially on the line will be the Buffalo Bills' playoff lives, which is, again, remarkable. And the only thing that is standing in the way of that being true, just to emphasize, right, the odds that the Bills' playoff lives are on the line is minus 205, because that's what the Jaguars' money line is. If the Jags win, that's where we stand with Buffalo. And this is actually how I feel about this. And I don't know, maybe people will think this is silly, but I trust the Bills more if their playoff lives are not on the line in this game. Because that, to me, is so much pressure. And it's already tough to win as many games in a row as they're having to do here for Buffalo. But if you get a Jacksonville upset, I think the Bills might be so loose they might win this game by 100, honestly.
They have dominated Miami, especially in terms of Josh Allen, right? What is he, 10-1 over his last 11 games? I'll just say this, that Buffalo has won 4 straight. They've won those games by an average margin of victory of 8 points per game. You look at the rushing attack, they've won 5 of the last 6 guys. Running the football, 153.1 yards per game over the last 6 games. Look at Miami. They get boat raced by Baltimore, give up $160 on the ground. That is going to be the matchup in terms of tonight's ball game. I give the edge to Josh Allen, James Cook on the ground. I just don't have any confidence in the Miami defense. Even though they're 7-1 at home, they stepped up against the Dallas Cowboys. This is a different animal in terms of the physicality of the Buffalo offensive line. I think they run it, they throw it, and I do feel that Josh Allen has a big game over the top and with his legs later tonight, Donnie. I like Buffalo minus the 2.5.
I do like the Buffalo Bills today, but it's interesting. Again, like, let's just take a look at, 2.5 to 3. Let's just call it a favorite here for the Buffalo Bills. If we're looking at this game and saying with the Miami Dolphins, Miami would be a prohibitive favorite in this game. I think we can all agree if Miami came into this game healthy. There's just way too many question marks here. Now, also, we're going to get into, because this game is going to be fantastic. I mean, obviously the spotlight game of the day, when we ask for games that are to be flexed, this is exactly what we talk about, a lot on the line. But who is going to be able to make the plays here for the Miami Dolphins tonight? Is it Tua Tagovailoa? Do we trust what the coaches say, that he's absolutely healthy in this game? Or do we trust the backfield? That's all of a sudden Devon Achane, who's been struggling with injuries over the past couple weeks. All of a sudden he's 100% healthy for this game and ready to go. Tyreek Hill, who's been in a boot all week, had a fire at his home, so you know his mindset isn't all week long just focused on the Buffalo Bills. And again, Waddle and Mostert not going to play in this football game. That is tough. And we didn't get to the defense here, where the two top pass rushers are going to be down. So for my money, I do like the Buffalo Bills. I'm not going to give up on the Miami Dolphins, but I just wanted to bring this to the forefront. If this was different circumstances with health, I would be taking the Miami Dolphins tonight.
I think that is such an important thing. Is there are going to be some people who see this line and go, man, books love Buffalo so much. And they do. They do love Buffalo. They've loved them for years. That's not what's going on here. Top running back is out. I know Devon Achane was good last week, but I still worry about his health from time to time. Jalen Waddle is out. And Tyreek Hill is there's no world he's 100%. It does come off a little bit, and this is stuff that you've talked about, Don, in other scenarios, and I know it's going to sound crazy, but there's a little bit, I think, of Miami's, we have tomorrow. Like, we are going to be in the playoffs no matter what. Our road is not going to be easy regardless either way. You know, there's a world that the Miami Dolphins, if Jacksonville loses, with a loss is playing Kansas City, and with a win is just running this game back against the Buffalo Bills. So there is, again, nothing about this that is going to be easy for the Miami Dolphins here this season and down the stretch, which really is remarkable. But for Miami as well, the Bradley Chubb thing I think is very, very easy to forget, because the superstar offensive players are always a part of that conversation, but Miami's just taken a lot of hits along the way. And another thing that would, again, I think put some confidence in Buffalo is, I think we all know they have great peaks inside them, and I thought there was a very real chance that between the Chargers and the Pats, they were going to hit that once, right? The Chargers covering wasn't super surprising because they had just smashed Dallas. But I thought last week against New England, and a great call by both of you, far too many points. The Pats returned the opening kick. They covered for 100% of that football game. I thought we might see Josh Allen, 35 points for the Buffalo Bills, 35-10, just run away. It wasn't that, which means if the Bills click today, this game could get very ugly.
Oh, it can. And think about last time in Orchard Park, 48-20 in terms of that ball game. As a Dolphin fan, and if you back Miami in any capacity, whether it be this game or big picture, you want to see the Miami Dolphins step up in a big spot, Kev. I mean, that is the problem. Look at the step-up spots this year, especially on the road. 48-20 against Buffalo. They get boat raced in the first half by Kansas City overseas. They lose to Philadelphia double digits. They were catching, 2.5 in that ball game? They get boat raced in a game that matters for the number one seed, even though they had injuries. They allow Baltimore to put up a 56 spot on them. They're exactly like the Dallas Cowboys in the AFC. Every time this team goes on the road, you hold your breath. You never know what you're going to get. This is a game that matters for Miami because it is Buffalo. Even though they're playing at home, Buffalo needs the game. I still want to see the Dolphins step up and win this ball game, but it goes to the head coach. They are a complete identity of their head coach, Mike McDaniel. I mean, they're a glass house. I hate to say it. They could beat up on mediocre competition, but when they face a very physical offense and defensive lines, they get absolutely abused, and that's the matchup tonight. Can Buffalo run the football? If they can, game's over.
You talk a lot about the Cleveland Browns, Joe, entering into the playoffs. Why do you like the Browns? Forget about Flacco, Amari Cooper, and the offense. The defense can really get after the quarterback. You take a look at the Miami Dolphins. Where were they set just a few weeks ago? Two unbelievable edge pass rushers and a great dynamic duo there at defensive tackle in Sealer and also Wilkins. They're now down to Sealer and Wilkins. Where's the pass rush going to come from? But, Kevin, to your point, which I do agree with here, if this was both teams win this game, get the number 2 seed, the loser is out no matter what, you know who's playing today? Mostert. You know who's playing today? Also, you're going to get some of the wide receiver help back into the fold as well with Waddle on the outside. So there is a tomorrow. So my mind always works, in distraction where I say, okay, this week I think Buffalo wins. But how serious can we take the Dolphins? Let's just say they're giving these guys an extra week and the Dolphins are full gas back on offense and get a win next week in the postseason, then everybody is ready to go. The benefit of the doubt saying, I'm going to get a cheaper price on that because obviously that 5th seed is much harder to get to the Super Bowl than the 2 seed. So many different ways to play this game out here, including looking forward to the playoffs.
I just want to say and get your take on it. My problem with the Miami Dolphins is you cannot just turn it on and turn it off. right? They turned it off potentially last week. They're going to turn it off again this week with the hopes of turning it on in terms of a must-win type of situation in the playoffs. I hate that mentality. There is no killer instinct with this organization in any capacity.
I hear what you're saying. I also do think them going to Arrowhead, though, is so great. And that's what's going to happen if they lose this game. And then Tyreek ends up in Arrowhead, where apparently the Chiefs were trying to avoid that all season with all that nonsense. As far as the props go in this game, Josh Allen has now not thrown 2 touchdown passes in 4 consecutive games. Longest streak since the that is the longest streak of that since the first 4 games of his 2019 season. This is the first time that streak has even touched 4. It's usually been, at maximum of 3. I think he breaks that today. Only 6 quarterbacks have thrown for 2 passing touchdowns in a game against Miami this year. But here's who the quarterbacks are. Shout out Mac Jones on this list. The others, Dak, Hurts, Mahomes, Lamar, Josh Allen. So while the secondary is good against the best quarterbacks in this league, they find 2 passing touchdowns.
And hasn't he averaged about 250 passing yards in basically every performance against the Miami Dolphins? He has dominated this team on the ground and with his arm. So I agree with you. I think tonight, when you look at the matchup, keep an eye out for the tight ends. Kincaid and Dawson Knox, I think, could eat over the middle tonight.
Yeah, Shakir, for me, I think he's going to have a decent game tonight. When I say decent game, he needs 25 yards. The question that we're going to talk about is, how affable is it going to be just to take Achane tonight? Is it all Achane passing, rushing, touchdowns that you can load up, or can he let you down?
We haven't even seen some of these Achane numbers come available, so I know they're going to probably start to populate. Just, again, quickly, a 3-point line, but there is some 2.5 out there in the market. Quick break, more PFT with you on SportsGrid.
New sports books operating for licenses, and a lot of news always coming out of there. One of the fresh sports betting states.
Well, they're a little behind the ball there, so I don't know if they'll be at the starting line in North Carolina. But yeah, a really interesting mix of applicants this early on so far.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division favorite.
I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
My best bet is Michael Penix Jr. over 309.5. Let's shop around. Let's get active, and let's get the best of the numbers here. So
I believe if Michigan in this ballgame can run the football, work off of play action, they can move the football, put up points. Does fall on McCarthy, but I like Michigan's chances in this ballgame.
National championship set. Washington against Michigan.
Brothers in arms tonight. This is it.
This is the most excited I think I've ever been for a day of work in my entire life.
That tells you how good this league is. Jeff, you're mine. Big 12. Who's the team to beat?
Well, it's always Kansas. I don't care who comes in the league. And I love Kelvin Sampson, what he's done at Houston. I don't care. So Marquette, to me, is the best backcourt in the country. Tyler Kolek's the best point guard. Cam Jones is an elite scorer who just plays with such a good pace, and he's so smart.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
We spent all offseason where the NFL said, hey, just so you guys know, running backs don't matter. If we then this year give the MVP to a running back, the irony. I am disappointed that they lost to FAU because secretly I don't really like this FAU team very much. I don't know. They're just not for me. And now they've completely legitimized the Owls.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Yay, congratulations, but the game was over at that point, so another one of those terrible beats. If you had 3.5, 4, even 4.5, this was a 10-point game until the final closing seconds.
In-game live, prime time. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Live on SportsGrid out here in Atlantic City. One last time. One final hurrah. I've said that before, though, so I don't know. Maybe next week. We'll see. DRS pulls string. All of a sudden, next thing you know, we're out here.
By the way, live Vegas? No, Atlantic City.
The whole week.
That's what I'm hearing.
The whole week.
Yep.
Let's talk some NFC South. We'll start with should we start with the game that decides it all? I guess we should, right? That would be Tampa Bay and Carolina. If the Bucs win, the division is done, and it belongs to Tampa Bay. With a loss to the Carolina Panthers, then the winner of Saints-Falcons would actually take down the division. And yes, Atlanta is still live here, which is remarkable. 36.5 is the total between Tampa Bay and Carolina, 3.5 point spread. I like the over in this game. I really believe that this game can actually get through its total. Last week, Carolina shut out, but the week prior scored 30 points, right? So never as good as you thought you would be, but never as bad as we last saw them. Plus, this recent matchup of these teams was not that long ago, and we saw Carolina put up 18 points in that game. And I think there's a real world where the Bucs offense comes out super hot here. Last week, super slow start, right? Only, shut out in the first half, trailed 20-0. And I don't believe in this Carolina defense. They're great in total defense. I think that's because they've played all these blowouts. These teams have short fields. The Panthers' defense to me is not good, and whatever, but that's fine. People can say it is. I think that Tampa Bay has the chance to run and hide here and get, near 30 in this game, and I think Carolina will do enough.
Well, you're taking the approach they need the game, right? And we saw that play.
No. I'm taking the approach that they're coming off of an awful performance.
It took them one game to figure it out. Welcome to
come around.
The best is I never once said that in the breakdown, but the both of you are right.
But villain you should have actually played the villain today and just you know what, Carolina's the play today because you know what I mean.
But I'll play the villain. I'll be Darth Vader.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Baker playing lights out. Rashad White in the rushing attack coming on. They're showing consistency. But again, you talk about organizations and we talk about rivalries where teams step up. You look at the last time these teams played, it was 21-18. Tampa Bay jumps out to a huge first-half lead. Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers get the 2-point conversion, make it a 3-point game, and cover the 4.5-point number in Tampa Bay. I think that Carolina can match up against Tampa Bay. I'm not sold on this team on the road in terms of big spots. They've played down to the level of competition. And again, I think Carolina can potentially force some turnovers against Baker Mayfield. The line to me screams Carolina. I'm taking the points with the Panthers. I think they strike the upset later today.
The thing that's hard for me to fathom is last week, I actually was buying into the Carolina Panthers offense, to be honest. And I don't mean buying into them like they're going to score 30 points, but just be functional. They were roughly 100 yards total in that game last week, which was completely unacceptable versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. But you want to talk about a line and an indictment on your football team here? Last week we had the 2.5-point line at home for Tampa Bay to handle New Orleans. I go, that line's kind of interesting here. What gives on this one? Yeah, New Orleans absolutely hammered them. But now you're trying to tell me that Carolina is so far gone from their ownership to their head coach to the quarterback not playing football just from their talent level. And I'm sitting here staring at a 3.5-point number for Tampa Bay, win and get to the playoffs and win your division. That line stinks to high heaven at this point. But it's not one of those usually I would read into and say, I'm going to take Carolina because this line is short. I was so dismayed from the Carolina Panthers last week of how bad they played. It's got to be Tampa Bay today. They were so bad.
We're just right back. The line doesn't.
That line stinks out loud. The Tampa Bay should be.
It was 3.5 in Tampa.
That's what I'm saying. Tampa Bay is playing so poorly that you're going up against the worst team in football. It's like, hey, coin flip. That's what I'm saying.
Tampa Bay and Carolina played a few weeks ago in Tampa, and the line was 3.5. And you two are trying to tell me you don't understand why it's not 7 in Carolina.
It should be on week 18. On week 18, think about this. Jordan Love in Green Bay laid 4.5 a couple weeks ago, 33-30.
How did Jordan Love get into this?
Well, I have to.
Oh.
I have to put it in there. But it was 33-30. They backdoored that game.
Okay.
Right? It was a 4.5-point number for Green Bay.
Right.
They're giving the same love for Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay needs the game. Tampa Bay is playing much better right now, consistently over the last 6 weeks than Green Bay. And Carolina got absolutely...
I mean, a dead body's playing better than Carolina Panthers.
No, he's saying that Tampa Bay's playing better than Green Bay. I think the Bucs value Green Bay more than the Bucs, based on the fact that they just played not that long ago, and Green Bay was a comfortable favorite in the football game, laying 3.5.
But they beat them.
I know they beat them.
They beat them 34-20 in Lambeau. They beat Jacksonville. They blew them out of the water in regards to that matchup.
I understand that, and then people watch them lose to the same. Look, again, you can like Carolina all you want, but the world where a team is laying the same number on the road that they were at home, and then we're like, well, hold on, why isn't this 6 is ridiculous.
Well, then we should talk about the same line in terms of Washington and the Cowboys.
Yes.
Because it's the same exact number than when they played on Thanksgiving.
You know why? Because it's overinflated because Tampa needs the game. And the Dallas line later tonight is overinflated because they need the game. You just said how. You just said how. If the line is Tampa, 3.5 in Tampa, and then they play today in Carolina, and it is 3.5 again, that means it is overinflated.
No, because it's not cookie cutter. They played 5 weeks ago.
True.
6 weeks ago. What the line was 6 weeks ago is not indicative of where the teams are in Week 18.
So
you have a team fighting for a division title to get into the playoffs versus a dead and buried football team that is looking to potentially go home. That line should be 6.5, 7.
There you go. We're in. We're in. Yep.
So Tampa Bay is now about 7 points better than what they were 5 weeks ago? No, they're not.
And just as we're talking, the line shift to 4. So keep going, Lisa. You're on the right direction. We're going to get this baby.
I'm taking Carolina.
Yep. Ooh.
I am.
That's great.
Not outright, though, right?
No, that's great. The line should be 7. He's on Carolina.
I am.
That's great. Saints-Falcons here. This line is a flat field goal. New Orleans, legitimate question marks around whether or not Alvin Kamara is going to play in this game. Of course, it is important. Even if he gives it a go, I think you have to be very cautious on his numbers, which are at the moment not out. If he is ruled out, the Jamal Williams props I'm sure people will be interested in, who steps into, I think, at least a full rushing workload. Obviously not the pass catcher that is Alvin Kamara. Again, the total for this game is 42. The winner is not in. But if the Panthers end up beating the Bucs, then the winner is in and hosting a playoff game. A lot on the line here.
I can only look to New Orleans. The fact that they're playing at home with their defense, I'm going to buy into Derek Carr. I don't love this game in any capacity. I lean to the under in terms of this matchup. Go to the other game in terms of Atlanta. This was the game where actually Des Ridder broke out in terms of the passing perspective. Atlanta had the pick 6 over Derek Carr. That was a 10-point swing early on. New Orleans could move the football between the 30s, couldn't capitalize. 5 field goals in terms of that ball game. Was supposed to go over. He missed a 54-yarder at the end of that game to put them within striking distance. I just don't have any confidence in Arthur Smith on the road in a big spot. Lean to the home team, lean to Derek Carr. I think their defense playing at home is a tad better, but I don't love this game in any capacity.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara, we're worried about him, illness coming into this game, but also if you take a look at Taylor Heineke from his perspective here, banged up with an ankle injury now going on the road. But let's just look at the last 3 games here for the Atlanta Falcons, right? 2 away games, 1 home game. First game, Carolina. You lose to them, 9-7. Pathetic effort. You come home, you smash Indianapolis. You go back on the road, lifeless against the Chicago Bears. Now understand, 2 of those games you're on the road at Carolina and Chicago. Those were both road games here. I get that here, where they weren't protected by a dome. This game will be in a dome. But I'm out on the Atlanta Falcons at this point right now. I think they might be going in a different direction with a coach next year, going to get a different quarterback. But I'm just trusting New Orleans at home in the Dome to pick up a victory in this game. I think they're the better football team. But what you showed me last week with Atlanta, with so much on the line, getting waxed by 20 to the Chicago Bears and giving up 37 points, stop it. I'm not taking Atlanta today. Nope.
Yeah, I'm going to not just do everything off of what I saw last.
He's getting crazy.
It's every game.
He's getting crazy.
Still upset from the college football game, man.
What game is getting you crazy?
So look, this
is it the Pittsburgh game?
The Saints have been atrocious at covering in back-to-back games. Dennis Allen, his entire career, has been awful at covering numbers off of wins. They're without potentially Alvin Kamara, and they'll certainly be without him in terms of being 100%. The Falcons just lost by 20. We have seen teams bounce back. You want to talk about needing it? Arthur Smith is going to be out of a job with a loss.
Well, he's a horrible head coach. He's horrible. They're both horrible.
Yeah.
I'll just say this. I think Dennis Allen deserves to be fired as well. I really do. And people say he did a good job keeping that team together. With the talent that they had at the start of the year, they should have been an 11 or a 12-win football team. And, again, I just believe in the home team because of the defense. I have no confidence in Arthur Smith to put his playmakers in a position to win this ball game. Think about how we utilized Bijan Robinson. Think about how we utilized throughout the regular season Kyle Pitts and Drake London, above average wide receivers / hybrid type of tight ends. He never put his team in a position to score points on the road. How do you lose by 20 to Justin Fields? Yeah. I mean, Eberflus is pathetic.
Eberflus is keeping his job.
Yeah, well,
red hot.
We'll see how that works.
Their defense is allowing only 15 points per game over the last 5 games they've played.
Yeah, statistically they're very well. Again, with okay, I just I know he's a great head coach.
I didn't say he's a great head coach. The Chicago Bears are playing very well right now. There's a reason why needed Green Bay is only a field goal favorite in that football game. Everyone else is laying 3.5 on the road. Green Bay can't even lay 3.5 at home.
Put it this way. I think Matt LaFleur is head and shoulders above where Matt Eberflus is.
I don't disagree.
Well, I'm just saying. Eberflus is not a head coach. You could throw all 3 of those quarterback coaches in the discussion. Smith, Allen, and Eberflus are all garbage. Garbage. They're terrible.
Anything else from you?
Look, take the home team. Look, New Orleans has to win, Joe.
10,
Simple as that, right?
9,
That's it. That's where
8,
we'll leave it.
I don't know if I'll be here when we
6,
get back, quite frankly.
5.
We're live on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid.
New sports books operating for licenses, and a lot of news always coming out of there. One of the fresh sports betting states.
Where they're a little behind the ball there, so I don't know if they'll be at the starting line in North Carolina. But yeah, a really interesting mix of applicants this early on so far.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division favorite.
I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby. The money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
My best bet is Michael Penix Jr. over 309.5. Let's shop around. Let's get active, and let's get the best of the numbers here, Joe.
I believe if Michigan in this ball game can run the football, work off of play action, they can move the football, put up points. Does fall on McCarthy, but I like Michigan's chances in this ball game.
National championship set. Washington against Michigan.
Brothers in arms tonight. This is it.
This is the most excited I think I've ever been for a day of work in my entire life.
That tells you how good this league is. Jeff, you're mine. Big 12. Who's the team to beat?
Well, it's always Kansas. I don't care who comes in the league. And I love Kelvin Sampson, what he's done at Houston. I don't care. So Marquette, to me, is the best backcourt in the country. Tyler Kolek's the best point guard. Cam Jones is an elite scorer who just plays with such a good pace, and he's so smart.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
We spent all offseason where the NFL said, hey, just so you guys know, running backs don't matter. If we then this year give the MVP to a running back, the irony.
I am disappointed that they lost to FAU because secretly I don't really like this FAU team very much. I don't know. They're just not for me. And now they've completely legitimized the Owls.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Yay, congratulations, but the game was over at that point, so another one of those terrible beats if you had 3.5, 4, even 4.5. This was a 10-point game until the final closing seconds.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Back on Sports Grid, as we were just finishing up Falcons Saints, Donnie, you're telling me that we have some injury news in that game?
Injury news here today. Alvin Kamara will not be playing in this football game, a deciding factor here. So before we even throw it around the horn, I'm going to say this. At least he likes New Orleans even more.
I imagine so.
Yeah.
I probably it's the ultimate best bet.
More Shaheed.
I do like Rashid Shaheed today. 36.5. I altered him up to 50+.
The Kamara, obviously, the absence is not ideal for this team. Jamal Williams, though, is a competent backup back. It'll be interesting to see if we do get his numbers check in. Jamal Williams last week had 19 carries in a game that we still saw Alvin Kamara secure 10. I think we did, obviously, the Thursday primetime game together, Joe, and you talked about how conservative the Saints want to be. If they get up in this game, I mean, Jamal Williams is going to run the football today 20-plus times.
No, he's a big back, and between the tackles, he might even be a little bit more durable than Alvin Kamara in terms of that type of philosophy. So I think the key to this matchup is to get up first. You saw when these teams played in Atlanta, they were moving the football at will. It wasn't until the pick six that really changed the momentum in terms of that ball game. The Card needs to have a big day today. I do expect Rashid Shaheed to step up. Olave, I don't know. His number is 70.5 in terms of this matchup. If you're Atlanta, you want to take away the number one option. That has to be Olave here. That should leave open other opportunities. And we talked about this guy. They didn't tack a number on him. Anytime touchdown, though, I believe is in the area of about 220. Juwan Johnson, in terms of red zone opportunities, what did he catch on the first drive last week? 19 yards, 1 tutty. Keep an eye out for him. He's a big body, so that's the look I'm going with. I still like New Orleans, a little bit more physical. And again, Allen at home versus Arthur Smith on the road. That's the matchup I'm looking at.
Yeah, you take because I always float towards Taysom Hill now, plus 230 here for an anytime touchdown market. But you're looking at a guy who, whether or not it was in the red zone or outside the red zone, was going to get a lot of targets and a lot of usage rate here for your starting running back in Alvin Kamara. And maybe you just slide it down and say Jimmy Graham at a 5-1 price here that you can look at as somebody's going to be able to score those touchdowns, which typically you thought would be Alvin Kamara. You might be getting a steal on some of these numbers.
By the way, the Saints are not only hoping to win a division, meaning there is a chance they're a wild card team. It just does seem a bit unlikely it'll play out for them. So to take it into the wild card picture, the Rams are playoff locked, and it appears Sean McVay has decided there is no difference between the 6 or the 7. Carson Wentz will get the start today. On the other side for the San Francisco 49ers, Brock Purdy will be out. Sam Darnold will play. We don't expect to see any Christian McCaffrey. Debo mentioned, though, on, I believe, Up and Adams, actually, that the starters will play, quote, a good bit. We'll see what that actually ends up meaning here for the Niners. The Rams deciding not to play, I get it, I guess, because you don't know what's going to happen above you, right? Hunting being the 3 so you can play Detroit or to avoid Dallas when maybe craziness happens. Maybe Philly ends up the 2, and maybe the Rams love their opportunity in a rematch in that game. I'm a little surprised, but I guess that maybe it speaks more to Stafford and the lack of trust in his health.
And you want to maybe develop Carson Wentz in terms of this type of situation? I mean, he's your guy. Could he throw for 300 today in terms of this matchup?
Not hanging his numbers, though.
Not yet. You never know, right?
True.
I will say this. Puka Nacua will play in this ball game to potentially get a record, I believe. right, in regards to the LA Rams. So
4 catches for the single-season reception record by a rookie, I believe it is, and 29 receiving yards.
I just like the way the Rams are playing, just from an overall team perspective. I understand it's San Francisco, but again, I'm backing this team. I backed them at 46-1 as a dark horse to win the NFC. I know it's a long shot, but again, they're running the football consistently, throwing the football. I understand Wentz is in there, but again, Sean McVay does great things with less talent, right? And all he does is put his teams in positions to win ball games. They covered this line when he kicked the field goal. What was it, week 2?
Yeah.
As a set. I just like them plus the points, even though they're on the road. I think they could force some turnovers. Wouldn't shock me, guys, if they win the ball game outright.
I know we talked about earlier in the week, Kevin and I on the radio, 40 around that total here. I think it's interesting because I do believe there's going to be a legitimate game plan for both of these quarterbacks here. We took a look at last year for the San Francisco 49ers. What was the big complaint about them? Brock Purdy went down. They had no chance to win. Well, now you have a legitimate backup in Sam Darnold. You want to let him spin a little bit on the outside, and rightfully so. Now, also, if you're taking a look at saying, all right, which way do I want to lean towards this game, whether it's plus 4 points, lay the 4 points here, I'm probably with you, taking the points in this game. But also, Kevin, I want to bring you into this conversation because let me ask you this question, just simple answer. Who lines up to play the Rams from the 2 chances next week? Like, who are they going to play in the playoffs?
Either the Cowboys or the Lions?
Yep. And what are the Cowboys and the Lions going to do this weekend? Full gas. Full gas. So if you are the Rams, hey, look, I know it's going to be tough, whether I'm 6 or 7, but you know what would be great? Let me rest my veteran team here while the other 2 teams play, and then we go play them full rest and see if we get after it. I love what McVay's doing, honestly. I really do.
Yeah, I think so it's very interesting, though, with the Cowboys and the Lions, because Dallas, right, is going to be full gas, but the idea is their opponent might allow them to sleepwalk through the endings of those games. And Detroit, and that it's the same thing that will apply with the Eagles, and we'll do the Detroit game in a minute, but if it is 24-0 at half today in Washington, which it very well could be.
Yep.
At halftime in the second, you won't see Goff, you won't see Hurts, and those things will certainly start to matter, but that is an advantage there for the Rams. I am going to look for points in this game. I'll hit it and sell me something, though. There's some specials out there that I think are tempting. Seahawks Cardinals is a really, really interesting one. Seattle, a field goal favorite in this game. Again, a needed team. But due to their loss to the Steelers, they do not control their own destiny. They need help from the Chicago Bears in their matchup against the Green Bay Packers. The fact that they need it are playing this Arizona team, and it's only 3. I wonder if this is people kind of being off of the Seahawks and saying, okay, there's real issues here, or the Cardinals getting a major bump from what they did last week in Philadelphia. I think it's a tough line to dissect. I do expect Kyler Murray to be explosive on the ground, 27.5 rushing yards towards the over. Seattle has always struggled on the ground, not just running backs, but running quarterbacks as well.
And that's why I like Arizona. I can't believe I'm saying that, but the way they played on the road after they trailed 14-3 to the Philadelphia Eagles was amazing to me. To win the ball game outright 35-31, James Conner with over 100 yards. The team as a whole averaged well over 4.5 yards per carry, 170-plus yards on the ground against what we believe is an above-average front seven, even though maybe they're not playing that way. To maintain their resolve and win that ball game overall is a testament to what Gannon has built here. And again, I just don't have any confidence in Seattle as a whole. To lose that ball game at home to Pittsburgh and Mason Rudolph, to allow that team to put up 30 points in your house, I think Kyler Murray breaks out. I mean, I lean to Arizona in regards to this ball game. Best bet here, over in terms of this matchup. I think both offenses will move the football. Do like DK Metcalf as one option for Seattle over the 70.5, guys.
I'm all over the ground game, both sides in this game. I do think Kyler Murray has a chance to get off and rush for some yards here, but I'm really focused on James Conner over his yards and also an anytime touchdown makes some sense. And also, Kenneth Walker from the opposite side. Zach Charbonnet really doesn't run the football much, at least over the past couple weeks here for the Seattle Seahawks. It's been all Kenneth Walker, and he doesn't need much today. 59.5, I also think he can find the end zone as well. Last time they played Arizona, 26 carries for 105 yards here for Kenneth Walker III. I think we get points in this game. And to your opinion last week, it shows that Arizona isn't dead. They have a terrible defense, which is fantastic when you like points in anything on the other team. But if you're shown and say, hey, guys, look, we went to Philadelphia here, played our game plan, put up 35 points on the road when we were supposed to get blown out, and we're getting blown out at the half, that shows me a lot. Arizona will have the game plan here to score points on Seattle, and I think they're going to return it. But I'm just looking at that ground game on both sides, guys, and saying they should both eat here.
It's incredible. We spent a lot of time right now talking about what the Bears are going to do, and that's because they're locked into the number 1 pick. But remember, that was the conversation around Arizona.
Yeah.
It does feel like Kyler's just going to stay the guy with the Cardinals here, and that is just going to kind of be safe. Speaking of today, go to Green Bay and match up here with the Packers, and it's a field goal line. This total, though, is continuing to climb. I'm going against it. I played under at 45.5. It is now 46.5. The Chicago Bears, when Fields came back, went on the road to Detroit and had that collapse performance of the final score, I believe, 31-26. They've since played 2 more road games. They scored 17 in Cleveland and 12 in Minnesota. I don't think this offense is going to travel well here today in Green Bay, but the defense has been playing excellent. In their last 5 games, allowing only 15.2 points per game. I understand that there's vulnerability there for Green Bay, and I understand Jordan Love is playing well, but this is still where I think you're going to see LaFleur play it a little conservative. We've seen that from him in big games with Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback. I think it's more the same here today. I'm playing under in Chicago, Green Bay.
Well, it's a possibility. I like Green Bay a lot in this ballgame. Lay in the 3. They win. They get into the playoffs. To your point about Jordan Love, since November 12th, guys, he has averaged 265 passing yards per game, 18 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And the fact that Aaron Jones has now been an important factor in terms of the ground game. They stepped up against Minnesota again last week, dominated in terms of an offensive perspective against Carolina. I don't know if Chicago, even though they're on the road and their defense is playing well, I don't think they could go toe-to-toe with this offense. I think it's a double-digit win for Green Bay. They won this ballgame 38-20 week number 1. I know it was a long time ago, but they have the much better, more consistent quarterback in this ballgame. Give me Jordan Love. I do lean to the over, Kev, because it's a must-win type of situation, and they do have the better quarterback. I think they're going to push tempo, look to put up a 30 spot. So give me the Green Bay and the over in this ballgame.
Look, I have a 14 parlay entering into this weekend, just on money lines for teams that absolutely had to win the football game. Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, Jacksonville, and the Cowboys. And we're talking about a game here, a must-win scenario for the Green Bay Packers. That tells you my comfort level here with taking them. But if we're looking at this game from, let's take a look at a Bears perspective. We know what's on the table for Green Bay. If you say, Donnie, who's the better football team? It's Green Bay. Donnie, where's the game being played? It's in Green Bay. Donnie, who do you think is going to win this game? Obviously, it's going to be Green Bay. But I look for this to say, like, Justin Fields has a lot going through his head going through this game. Because I feel like it's now like, forget about what I've done for the past couple years, referendum day today. If I beat the Green Bay Packers, which we never beat, it feels like, and I can hold up and my head coach is going to be with me, I'm going to stay here in Chicago. Like, I really think you're going to get their best, which doesn't mean, again, when I say I think Chicago Bears should move on from Justin Fields, it's games like this. Hey, what's your passing prop? 203. That's not a franchise quarterback. I don't care what it is. It's just not a franchise quarterback number. I don't care what the weapons are here. But I do think Justin Fields on the ground, anytime touchdown at a plus 125 makes sense. He is going to be extra in this game because I believe he really thinks this is my big ticket meal item either in Chicago or if I need to leave Chicago, I'm going to get paid somewhere else.
I do wonder if he's already done enough to secure a contract wherever
he does. Oh, he has.
Kind of during this run here. Vikings lines is a weird one because what Minnesota needs to get in is everybody in front of them to lose. It feels like a lot. Detroit, again, we kind of feel like they're deadlocked into the 3, but this is Dan Campbell. So the idea is, the Lions are going to play their guys. The one thing that's been very puzzling to me is just Jahmyr Gibbs props are all out there. There's no Montgomery. If they're just like Montgomery's the vet, he gets to sit, and Gibbs is going to get 28 carries. He's going to smash every prop on the board.
55.5. I mean, so
they're hanging his receiving at 26.5. Why are they throwing the ball to Jahmyr Gibbs?
I don't know, but I can only look Detroit in this ball game. Nick Mullins did have a couple of interceptions last time they played. Close game
today.
Over. It's all Detroit.
Justin Jefferson, your only thing for me, forget about the playoffs. Keep your superstar happy. He doesn't go, they didn't throw me to football. I can't be in Minnesota now. Trade me.
We will continue to break it all down here. A sharp report is next for you on SportsGrid.
got new sports books operating for licenses, and a lot of news always coming out of there. One of the fresh sports betting states.
Where they're a little behind the ball there, so I don't know if they'll be at the starting line in North Carolina. But yeah, a really interesting mix of applicants this early on so far.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
My best bet is Michael Penix Jr. over 309.5. Touchdown from out. Let's get active and let's get the best of the numbers here, Joe.
I believe if Michigan in this ballgame can run the football, work off of play action, they can move the football, put up points. Does fall on McCarthy, but I like Michigan's chances in this ballgame.
National championship is set. Washington against Michigan.
Brothers in arms tonight. This is it.
This is the most excited I think I've ever been for a day of work in my entire life.
That tells you how good this league is. Jeff, you're mine. Big 12. Who's the team to beat?
Well, it's always Kansas. I don't care who comes in the league. And I love Kelvin Sampson, what he's done at Houston. I don't care. So Marquette, to me, is the best backcourt in the country. Tyler Kolek's the best point guard. Cam Jones is an elite scorer who just plays with such a good pace, and he's so smart.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
We spent all offseason where the NFL said, hey, just so you guys know, running backs don't matter. If we then this year give the MVP to a running back, the irony.
I am disappointed that they lost to FAU because secretly I don't really like this FAU team very much. I don't know. They're just not for me. And now they've completely legitimized the Owls.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Yay, congratulations, but the game was over at that point, so another one of those terrible beats. If you had 3.5, 4, even 4.5, this was a 10-point game until the final closing seconds.
In-game live, prime time. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Live on SportsGrid with you, I'm Kevin Walsh. The Sharp Report is coming up here for what is a massive game in the AFC South, really the AFC as a whole. A lot of teams, a lot of people rooting on the Tennessee Titans today against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's Warren Sharp's thoughts on in that game.
Mike Vrabel lives for these types of games. His team is going to be ready to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars Week 18, even though it's a completely meaningless game for the Tennessee Titans. He is 13-5 ATS when he is an underdog, but more impressive than that, he has won 12 of those 18 games. This team absolutely gets up to play in these moments. If you also look at and say, well, look, this team is got a losing record. This game is meaningless. They're playing at home. Who really cares much about this game? Look at these numbers. When the Titans have a losing record and are playing at home, in 14 games under Mike Vrabel, they have lost only once by more than 3 points. And that was when they were a 13-point underdog. They are 10-4 straight up in ATS in these games. They absolutely show up and they absolutely play extremely hard. Mike Vrabel is going to have his team ready. The main thing that I worry about in this game for the Titans, of course, they're secondary, but that's offset a little bit by the limited passing attack and the health of Trevor Lawrence, is are they going to give up yards on the ground without Jeffrey Simmons there? And yes, they have weakened a little bit defensively against the run since Jeffrey Simmons left with injury. However, this team is still about a league average run defense. And I think last week, this Jacksonville Jaguars and Travis Etienne rushing attack against the Carolina Panthers, though they looked really good with the final yardage tally, was not actually great. They had one run of 62 yards. In their other 28 running back runs, they gained a total of 72 yards. That is a mere 2.6 yards per carry. Even in the first half, when the game wasn't a blowout yet, the Jaguars were gaining just 2.3 yards per carry. Last time they played the Titans, they gained only 3.7. I don't think they're going to have a ton of success on the ground. I still think they're going to have to get it done through the air. I think Mike Vrabel is going to have his team ready to go.